Tank fly, boss walk, jam, nitty gritty. You're listening to the boy from the big bad city. This is Jam Hot. This is Jam Hot.
That's the beauty of total conditioning. It works awfully well with most people. There's no doubt about it. We know that regardless of whatever administration's in power, they always bend over for the military boys, because the military industrial boys who make the big weaponry stuff, the big stuff. And so it wouldn't matter which president's in power. But regardless, you also have to wonder if the big boys at the top do want some mass, we do know they want a mass culling. We know that. They're always prattling on there's too many people. On the other hand, the same people are prattling off there's not enough people to pay off the national debts. And on it goes, and on it goes. But the only way, how are you going to get a mass cull?
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3. The second factor is the services we use.
You're also, your own countries are going along and being good citizens and not procreating and having children, and going along with bringing down the population size. Then the same people bring in masses from outside into your own countries to make up supposedly the difference. So you can't win. And then you hear the bitching going on. There's too many folk now in your country. I mean, you simply can't win. It's not meant that you win anything. I hope you understand that. That's what all this game's about. It's not meant that you win. You will never win in this game. And now they're going full steam ahead with their prattling on about depopulation again and so on. The thing is, I think the future, I've always said this, the future's always been planned. And you get lots of clues from a lot of the participants in history that the future's always planned. I mean, your own government's always planning things. They're always planning future wars, possibilities of wars and things like that. Wars are not spontaneous things. They take a long time, many years of planning and building up in preparation for wars. Even for logistics and supplies and demand and how you do all this, it's all worked out years and years in advance. That's the truth of it too. Therefore, any wars that really go on, you can guarantee were planned maybe even 10 years, maybe even 20 years beforehand, and hadn't quite decided on the date of it all, but they planned it 20 odd years beforehand.
Can't believe this window's still broken. Well, when the scene screen with Herman.
Through a big business plan, probably even much of it, in fact, designed before I was born. And that's how big this big world business plan is.
The world is a business, Mr. Beale. It has been since man crawled out of the slime.
You can pick up books from the 1940s, 1930s about a world government. That was a big movement at the time. Through technocracy and through all the big organizations within academia, they churned out the books about their utopias and etc. They were all for communism at one time in the West, especially from the professors who flooded into these positions in the Western universities, bringing communism with them. And it's been awfully successful. But right now, it's almost as though we're in a kind of stasis. And it's as though, as I say, the pause button has been pushed on all our lives as the real dominant minority who rule the planet are trying to rethink what they're going to do because, as I say, look at the incredible in-your-face mass program across the world with all media against Donald Trump. It's not a matter of liking the guy or disliking the guy. You have been trained to believe that the media is impartial, that its job is to give you facts and news. That's the facts. And then nothing is further from the truth, as I say. I hope everyone never forgets this incredible, huge display of all the media in all countries saying the same things and being utterly furious that the other party didn't get in.
And the fact that he is wrapping his arms around Putin while Putin is continuing to advance into Korea.
Don't forget that. Don't ever forget that. Because if you ever trust media, you do so at your own peril. And they aren't going to change and somehow become honest. They're control factors. That's what they're there for. And they, as I say, they shape as much of your mind by holding back information, not mentioning it at all, spinning it, slanting it, omitting great chunks of it till you don't get the proper conclusions. It's all done very carefully and deliberately to make sure you do get the authorized conclusions. That's what it's about. But don't forget what's been happening. But it's not on the go. Even now, there's hardly anything out there as what we call actual news. Most things that happen in the world have never been told to the public. It's all done in secrecy. We're given nothing today, but what they call news today is trivia. Most of it's utter trivia. Or it's soap opera type stuff. Nonsense. Entertainment is not news. It's a separate category. And they blend all that in. Sports is the same thing. That's not news either. That's another part of entertainment. But they've blended it all together and substituted real information, which is important, with entertainment instead. Or trivia. I've given out the links over the years to even mainstream documentaries about the news, where many of the themes that they bring out are worked out years in advance. And that's the problem with it. But never wait for media to do your thinking for you. The sad thing is, as Brzezinski said, and he was all for this technique, mind you, of total controlling the minds of the people. Brzezinski said that shortly the public would be unable to think for themselves. They'll expect the media to do their reasoning for them. And unfortunately, that's already happened. And he wrote the book back in the 1970s. So that's happened. People do expect the media to do the reasoning for them.
Control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah.
something, or even show them evidence of something, the general public who have been trained only to believe the media look at you as though they're crazy, and they'll say, well, where was that on the news? And they won't believe you. That's the beauty of total conditioning. It works awfully well with most people.
So these two techniques alone, they are not going to work. We need a secret weapon, number 3. It is actually in this room right now. Secret weapon! It is you. So how do we do it? The power of willful ignorance cannot be overstated. This is systemized cruelty on a massive scale, and we only get away with it because everyone is prepared to look the other way. Thank you.